Hello. How's everyone doing tonight?
Good.
Today, good? All right. I like that level of energy. My name is Ramey Roberts. I'm in from out of town. I'm from Texas. Give it up for Texas. Yeah.
Yeah, Texas.
I know. Y'all can if you want. It's a good place. I flew here on Delta, and on Delta they let the first class passengers board before the military. Because capitalism trumps patriotism any day of the week. I'm a pretty lucky guy. I have a family that loves me, and I have a place to live. I have my health generally. You know, it could be a lot worse. For instance, I was driving downtown, and there was a homeless guy holding a sign that said, "Anything helps." And I thought about it after locking the door and avoiding eye contact with him. I thought, man, that's pretty rough if literally anything would help this guy right now. And then I thought about it a little bit more. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not true. Because no matter how bad this guy's life is, he can always have kids. I love my kids. Don't get me wrong, I love my kids, but they have never been helpful in any way at all possible, ever. I was a stay-at-home dad for a period of time, which was to say I was unemployed. And I was a very bad stay-at-home dad for a number of reasons, but the main reason was because I was broken down both mentally, emotionally, and nearly physically by my 5-year-old daughter on a daily basis. And at the end of the day, when I finally got her to bed with the help of some Benadryl, and I found myself curled up in a fetal position in the corner rocking back and forth, I realized that either A, I'm not as mentally stable as I give myself credit for being, or B, I'm raising a supervillain on the level of Lex Luthor. I mean, the way that she could pick me apart, just precision, you know? It was like watching somebody solve a Rubik's Cube without actually having to look at it. It was like she was a drill sergeant whose job was to break me down so she could build me back up. But because she was a sociopath, like all 5-year-olds are, she got the break me down but never build me back up part. So, I have kids, they're great. My son actually came home from school the other day. He was really excited. He's like, "Dad, I'm getting an award at school." I'm like, "Cool, what's it for?" And he goes, "They don't tell me until tomorrow." And so I'm trying to think about it. I'm like, well, what is he getting an award for? It's clearly not the all A honor roll, let's be honest. He doesn't like doing homework. I don't like making him do homework. It's a great situation. I was thinking maybe it's the A-B honor roll, but it'd be more like the B-A honor roll, like you got 5 Bs and 1 A for dressing out in gym class. Which I never understood why they graded you on whether or not you're willing to get nude in front of other kids, but apparently that's a thing. So, anyway, so we went to the award ceremony and they start calling out all A honor roll. He didn't get that. They call out A-B honor roll. It was like half the class, we didn't get that. They call it perfect attendance. He definitely didn't get that because sometimes daddy doesn't get up in the morning, but which I don't understand why they give kids perfect attendance. That award should go to the parents because it's the parents who wakes up and says, if I don't get this kid to school, they're with me all day. So they do whatever they can to get him to school. But he didn't get that. And so he's getting kind of bummed out. He's like, man, I'm not getting any award. And then finally they called his name. They said, okay, the next award is a special award. It goes to Finn Mabry for the Character Counts Award. Yay, Character Counts. And he was so excited about Character Counts that I didn't have the heart to tell him that it was a made-up award based on no definable metrics, you know? But it actually wasn't the worst made-up award that they gave out that day. They gave this one kid the Heart on His Sleeve Award because he was never afraid to share his feelings or show his emotions. And I was like, man, why not just call this kid a wuss in front of the entire school, you know? Because when I was a kid, if you wore your heart on your sleeve, you were going to get the crap kicked out of you until your heart was literally on your sleeve. So I guess this is progress. We are making progress in today's modern society. But so he got the Character Counts Award. They're basically saying this kid's not curing cancer, but he is a character. So he got that going for him. But my son is actually autistic. He's a great kid. His brain just works a little bit differently than other people's. And, you know, it doesn't bother me when people say the word retarded, because I get it, they're just meaning something, they don't mean it hatefully, you know? If they said it about him, I would murder them, but, you know, if you're just like, oh, that joke was retarded, I get it, you know? But what bothers me is when people try to relate with me by saying stuff like, oh, well, I think I'm a little bit autistic too. I'm like, what does that mean, a little bit autistic? I'm like, oh, you know, like how I can't make eye contact with women when I'm talking to them. I'm like, bro, you're not autistic, you're just ogling her. You're not autistic, you're just a creep, you know? But, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm ogling her too, but I don't try to blame it on a medical diagnosis. Or like you're at a party and there's that really annoying girl who's like, oh, I'm so socially awkward, I must be on the spectrum. It's like, no, you just need a personality. My son's on the spectrum, he's great to hang out with. I don't know what you're talking about, he's awesome. So. But yeah, my kids are kind of hell raisers though. They do act up a lot. And I have a friend who her kids are so well behaved. And I'm like, well, what's the secret? Why are your kids so well behaved? And she goes, oh, it's because I hit them when they were little, so they fear me. And I was like, oh, that's a little bit harsh, you know? And your kids, she goes, well, you yell at your kids all the time. That's just as bad. I'm like, that's just as bad. I go, when I was a kid, I got hit several times as a kid, and I was never also not getting yelled at the same time, so it's clearly worse. And actually, the only thing that would be worse is a silent beating. Could you imagine how terrifying that would be? You're a kid playing with your Legos, and all of a sudden your mom comes up and just smacks you, no words exchanged. That would be terrifying. So I have been bumming my friends out lately, apparently, and I need to work on my attitude. So I'm trying to figure it out. And my buddy's like, well, just change your attitude. Just start thinking positively. I'm like, I don't get that. How does that work? And he goes, well, let's put it this way. Your brain is a lot like a magnet. Your brain is a huge magnet. So if you put positivity into the universe, you're going to get positivity back out. If you put negativity in the universe, you're going to attract negativity. And I go, oh, I finally get it now. This guy doesn't know how magnets work. I mean, batteries for that matter. Yeah, I was like, man, if I was completely clueless to how basic science works, maybe I could be happy too. I started wondering, I was like, who is this guy's science teacher? The Insane Clown Posse? But magnets, how do they work? But another thing, I'm recently single, which is really rough at this stage of my life because I've been trying to date, which at this point is really just very insane and terrible. And it's hard for me for a number of reasons. One reason, which is because I don't drink. So you can't just go to a bar and meet somebody because the only thing worse than being the old guy at the bar hitting on women is being the old guy at the bar hitting on women dead sober. Not a good look. You know, you walk up and you're like, hey, can I buy you a drink? And they're like, well, but you're not drinking. I'm like, oh, no, I want to keep my wits about me. But you keep drinking. It's cool. It's a hard pass every time. Hard pass every time. And it's really bad because I can't even blame my weak game on being drunk. It's just I just have a weak game. But yeah, the other thing that makes it hard is I'm not on social media, and apparently people think that you're a creep if you're not on social media. Apparently the fact that I don't wait for my food to go cold before I eat it because I'm taking pictures to post on social, that makes me weird. Wanting to eat a warm meal. But yeah, and I actually met a woman in real life, and it was going well. We were hitting it off, and I thought it was going well that I got up the courage to ask her out, which is hard in real life. And I said, hey, can I get your number? Maybe we can meet up later. And she goes, oh, well, what's your Instagram? I'll follow you on Instagram. And I go, well, I don't have Instagram, but I can give you my number. She looked at me like I had leprosy. She started backing away slowly. She wouldn't break eye contact with me, didn't want to turn her back on me. But it's pretty tough. So as a means of last resort, I did get on dating apps, which is just a terrible nightmare. I do not recommend it. But I promised myself that I was only going to look at the dating app while I'm driving. Because I promised myself that I was either going to get a date or die trying. Which kind of made me wonder, like, these are going to be funny, how did you and mom meet stories. Like, how did you and mom meet, Dad? It's like, well, actually, I was swiping on that picture of your mom in the bikini, and then I sideswiped a bus. Multiple fatalities, but you're here, so I guess it was all worth it, you know? But, yeah. I had a realization recently that for deaf people, all farts are silent but deadly. That's a thinker. You got to put on your thinking cap for that one. There's a deaf guy that I work with, and he got up to leave the break room and just ripped the biggest fart you've ever heard. He thought he was so sly. He was just leaving there, big grin on his face. He thought he had, yeah, it was awesome. But, this is really difficult. I normally don't do clean comedy. This is very, very difficult for me. Trying to whittle down my jokes to the ones I can actually sanitize for you guys. But
Martin, come on.
Yeah,
Terrible.
Nah, it's terrible. That one's a terrible joke. Oh man, that's about as family as I get here. But how much time is that?
9 now.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, I was going to tell a dirty joke to end it on, but I'll leave it at that. Y'all have a good night. My name's Randy Roberts. Thank you.
Yeah.